everybody else is here.
That's right. All the big players are still in the right positions here. So we get a green flag at the back, and the Revs rise at the front of the field as the Holden power plants get set to do battle. VF Commodore versus HSV Senator on the front row, and off we go. A little bit further behind, Ian McLennan in the Pro Cut Tree Services car got a really poor start, completely missed the start, and he's been gazumped by Peter Dixon, and side by side go the front two pair, Timewell and Luke Gretsch-Cumbo. Who prevails into turn one? It's the three-time State Series champion in Luke Gretsch-Cumbo.
Just burst into wheel spin, didn't he? McClellan, tyre smoke pouring off the rear wheels of that machine down towards turn number one. So he's plummeted, where do we reckon? Fifth, sixth, I reckon.
Yeah, about fifth or sixth in the running order at the moment. Sixth by the camera angle that we're looking at right there as well. And wondering if there's been another car that's maybe dropped down the field here as well. There's definitely a few cars out of position coming into the first few turns. And look at this, streeting away already is the 26. And a 5-second time penalty for Danny Timewell. So jump the start. It must have been by, split seconds?
No, it wasn't
No?
that he jumped. He was rolling at the time the lights went out. I was looking directly out the commentary box window, and he was rolling at the time the lights went out. So a costly mistake, and the steward straight on that within a lap. Really good stewarding there, straight on it, offering or giving the 5-second penalty. And I have to say, from my point of view, absolutely agree with that one. He was definitely rolling.
All right, eagle-eyed Dan McCarthy here in the box, keeping an eye on things. Here is the recovering number 115 belonging to Ian McLennan, toning in on the back of Peter Dixon's similar powered and similar silhouette body Holden Monaro, both the V2 Monaro in fourth and fifth positions. One with a little bit more mumbo in a straight line, 6-litre power plant in the Pro Cut Tree Services machine. Can he overhaul the Silver Bullet, the number 21 machine, up the back straight? Didn't look like he got a really good turn through turn 4, and he's actually lost some ground to Dixon coming out of turn number 4. So with the 5-second time penalty, Danny Timewell's got to get a bit of a wriggle on here to put some distance between himself and Cade Lehman in the Bendigo Door Centre, number 26. And both the Monaros going up and over the backside of the curb at turn 8 there. Now the stewards have actually been right onto that throughout the course of the weekend so far as well. They've advised the drivers that if you stray over that too many times, you'll get a bad sportsmanship flag, as McClellan decides to get down the inside at turn 11 and 12 and takes the opportunity to snatch position 4 away from Peter Dixon.
And set a 1 minute 20.2. That's only a second off the top two, Gretsch-Cumbo and Timewell, at the point end of the field, and I think in clear air he'll probably be matching that, so he'll be a contender late on in this one, as we see some cars that aren't Holdens battling towards the rear end of the field. We've got a Pulsar, we've got an old Audi, there's just everything and anything, isn't there? A little 86 in there as well.
Yeah, it's a Subaru BRZ actually, so you're right, your view are close, because of course they share the same platform as the Toyota GT86 does the Subaru BRZ. So Peter McLean in the number 101 machine, mixing it up in there, which is actually Steven Zorkas's old car, with Steve a couple of years ago picking up the ex-Jordan Cox Honda Civic, and he's doing a fine job in under 2 litres at the moment aboard that very well-known machine.
Looks like he didn't take the start of this one though.
Yeah, I'm looking to see, he's right down the order, so 19th in the running order there, and out of commission. Now, the car on the left, on the centre of your shot there, is actually visiting from New South Wales, the number 78 of Mark Tutton, which the livery on this car would be familiar to many viewers of years gone by, with Australian Touring Car Championship and what is now formerly V8 Supercars, and now just Supercars in general. The very, very famous liveries from back in the 90s.
Yeah, of course, 1990 livery with Wim Percy and Alan Grice, with those very familiar HRT colours coming to a stop.
Yeah, so that's not a great sign, and going to probably peel into the pits at the end of this lap. The fastest lap actually just flashed up for Danny Timewell, 1 minute 18.9, but he was only a tenth quicker last time around than Luke Grechcumbo, and the margin's still at 1.6 seconds. So still a little while to go for Timewell to get to the back of the GC Electrical number 25. And you couldn't get two cars that were any different, could you, on the screen right now? Richard Valentich in the Tirana, and then the car's a little bit sort of close to my heart because I used to own one. Yes. The Grant Ogle Ford XR5 Turbo, the LV model XR5, which is actually, I noticed, is sporting the Sonic the Hedgehog arrangement rear wing on that, which is actually the rear wing you could only buy if you got the top line model, which was the two-door LV Ford Focus, which was basically the RS model car, which only made a limited number of those, and I think there was about 305 of them imported into the country.
I owned a Ford Focus, but you're nerding out with Ford Focus.
I still own a Ford Focus now. It just doesn't happen to be the one that goes and has 5 cylinders and goes fast. That's all. A bit of more of a sensible family man these days. I've got the LZ Focus Sport, which is actually not a too shabby product. So, but no, it's very close to my heart because it's actually such a great car. The power plant, of course, being a Volvo power plant, shared across many cars, not just, of course, the Ford XR5 Turbo. This is a man on the screen here, Cade Lehman, who's just been passed by Ian McLennan for third place. And Cade had a pretty good run through the State Series last year. He actually took it up to Luke Grechcumbo for a number of races. When the big boys were off fighting in front, your Adam Pools and your Jared Tonks, it was pretty much Ian McLennan when he was here, and then Cade Lehman and Luke Grechcumbo, the ones that were joined at the hip. So he's not had a great run through the field so far this time, Cade Lehman. Qualified very well. His lap time's very impressive, but when the racers got on with the job, he sort of hasn't been able to go with them in the early stages here.
Lehman may even have pipped Grechcumbo, won't ever know because he missed the second round, but if he didn't, could have been a different story even further, potentially up the championship, but as we say, finished fourth, just behind our current race leader, Grechcumbo. Just looking at Timewell, as we say, he's gaining on our race leader, just couple of tenths a lap at the moment, but of course has that 5-second penalty. At the moment, that'll drop him. In fact, it won't. As I look now, no, it's just ticked over now on that previous lap to 6 seconds of margin. So he will stay where he is if it stays the way it is. The thing with those time penalties is if there's a late race safety car, it almost slaughters you.
That's right. So that's the last thing that he wants to see right now is the safety car having to be put out, because essentially that margin he's got over Ian McLennan in third place will be completely erased. So he won't have anything left to fight. He'll basically be well and truly outside the top 10. If it ended under safety car, it would be an absolute disaster for Danny Timewell. So for him, fingers crossed, and for his crew, fingers crossed that it doesn't happen. So Peter McLean has managed to get past Nathan Agar here in the 6191, which is an APRA Pulsar, one of the cars you'd see most commonly running throughout New South Wales. Yes. There actually is a full category for those Pulsars. I've actually driven one. They're actually not a bad piece of kit to drive, but again, another controlled category, much like the Hyundai Excels, but good to see that they're out here and competing, and they sort of fit into these regulations.
Excels took off in Victoria and took off in Queensland. In New South Wales, it was the Pulsar category that took off as the entry-level one-make category, I suppose you call it, the cheap way of getting into motorsport. And yeah, numbers have skyrocketed in New South Wales as we see a little bit of a lock-up there for Grechcumbo. As that lead margin continues to shrink, he might be feeling a bit of pressure, but surely he's been told you do not need to worry about the man behind you. Yeah, Michelle Goodall will be on the headset to him saying, don't worry about Danny if he gets to the rear bumper of you. He's got a 5-second time penalty. So there won't be any real worries from the GC electrical camp right now. They're starting to encounter back runners. They've just passed Bradley Ross, who's in the back of shot. They're now navigating Wayne Decker in the number 2 Audi. And then just ahead, they've got the 2 under 2 litre cars we were just talking about a few moments ago, Nathan Agar and Peter McLean in the Subaru BRZ. So they're going to get woken up here, and it's going to be Luke Grechcumbo that has to do the waking up. Danny Timewell will probably have the easier run through the lap traffic here down the front straight, right out over the back of the ripple strip for the Senator. Not so the same for Danny Timewell. Inside to outside for Grechcumbo as well.
What was his lap time in that time around? They're both in the 19s. And render back a shot here. Ian McLennan has now got his hands full with Cade Lehman again. So this is a repass for position number 3 for the Pro Cut Tree Services Monaro.
Looks like McClellan's got the straight line advantage though, pulled back through, but a bigger lock up down into turn 1 allows Lehman to go around the outside. It's really hard to stick there just because of the way the corner's shaped and the fact that turn number 3 goes around to the left, so McClellan just about holds on, and really was just about. As we see there, we'll see McClellan now pull away once again down the back straight where horsepower is king, and we can see a couple of car lengths margin be pulled out as we get towards the 2 litre battle down the back straight, lapping the under 2 litre cars.
Great presence of mind there from Wayne Decker, just to pull over to the left-hand side and let the faster cars go through. That's good heads-up driving. Hopefully it'll be a similar sort of prospect for the 2 cars that are next in the queue, the little Pulsar and the BRZ. My heart was in my mouth for a minute when McLennan went through turn number 1, because he's been out that far on the Ripple Strip before, and unfortunately about 12 months ago it ended up turning him into the paddock, and he went for a tour through the grass, but there was no cars in the vicinity to aid that sort of little excursion this time around. So 5 minutes or so remaining on the clock, just by what you can see at the top of your timing screen there, so still plenty of time for positions to change hands. We've completed 8 laps for the leaders. Now further down the order, again, you couldn't get 2 cars that were completely dissimilar to each other. Just looking to see, this is actually not for position, that's actually for lap traffic. So for Grant Ogle, the number 32 machine there, Scott Appledore, that was being lapped. Timewell's lost a little bit of margin here over the course of the last lap or so. He's lost 3/10 on the previous 2, the margin going the other way again. I think that's probably just a lap traffic situation for the number 11 Time Well Spent Racing Commodore. He's got the Prestige Hino logo. He's actually from Prestige Hino. This is actually not Danny's business, but he's very much entrenched within the Prestige Hino ranks. He's one of the sales managers that's out there, does a fantastic job promoting the Hino product, and they've seen the value and signed on for another 12 months with improved production. So it's great to have them back aboard, along with ProCut, DLL Photography and Design, and of course Yokohama and Traction Tyre Centre. Danny Timewell actually, last year, in the last 2 years rather, he's been pioneering the 265 wide tyre. He's gone back to the 255 starting this year, and Bradley Ross, who's given his car a fresh paint job this year, is got a bit of smoke coming out of the right hand side of that car. I think it was actually, looks like it was from the exhaust, or is that actually from the front underside of the engine?
Oh, front, I think that's just in front of the exhaust. Hard to tell. You can see it come past our commentary box.
There's, I think, potentially going to be a black flag issued here for the, or a meatball flag rather, for car number 34.
At least he's doing the right thing. At least he's doing the right thing and moving off the racing line down pit straight, which is what we like to see. You don't want him to be on the racing line putting potential liquid down on the circuit. So yeah, that's good heads-up drive in there down the pit straight to not drive on the racing line and dirty up this racetrack. Lehman on the last lap set his personal best lap of the race, but through the back markers, it's McClellan who's just managed to extend the margin on the man behind him in the 5 for third. Oh, we see Decker off, trying to get through the gravel in the Quattro.
He'll get out of this. He's got 4-wheel drive in that Audi, so he's managed to get out of the gravel trap rather handsomely there. So mistake under brakes into Dandenong Road. Just kept the power on, kept the wheels moving. 4-wheel drive does the rest for Wayne Decker.
That's thanks to the rallying history of the Quattro.
Of the Quattro. He's actually got another car in the works. I think Wayne Decker is looking to get a 3-litre engine up and running. Not for that car, but he's actually going to put it into another similar bodied car. There's a couple of them that were made. So that's a work in progress. It's been in progress for about a year now. So hoping to see that a bit later this year. McLennan looks like he's possibly broken the back of Kay Lehman here and going to hang on to P3 with 2 laps to run from what we've been told. Here is Wayne Decker on the 888 Home Loans replay. At the front wheels sort of pointing left, and just a big lock-up behind the lap traffic there. And four-wheel drive, as we said, does the rest.
Absolutely, but yeah, in that fight in the under 2 litre class, he was closing on the Pulsar ahead, and yeah, just a full double wheel lock-up, no steering when you lock both wheels up, had no control under brakes, and just went in a straight line straight into the gravel trap. But nice recovery. Not too much time lost.
No, not too much time lost at all, and I don't think he lost a position out of that as well. I think Danny Timewell's settled for second here. Luke Gretschkambo's got about a 2.3 second margin according to our timing screens the last time across the line. There's a bit of smoke haze going on. I'm wondering if the GC... No, that's from the car in front. That's from Brad Ross. I was a bit worried for a minute that it was Luke Gretschkambo's HSV Senator that was just starting to emit a little bit of a haze, but it's Brad Ross just trying to limp his way to the finish line here. And he's been lapped by the leader. I think this is the twice that he's been lapped now, so at least he will be classified. He will get home here. But for the man who won the Victorian State Racing Series titles through 2017, 2018 and 2019, he's got a couple of corners to go, and this will be sweet for him. It's been a little while since he's been able to put himself on the top step of the podium. Little sideways slide coming out of the final turn, and he will salute for GC Electrical and Data Services and take race 1 of the Prestige Hino Improved Production Cars for 2023.
I think that smoke's getting worse as we see our third place man McClellan cross the line ahead of Lehman. So in the end, yes, it was the yellow Monaro that prevailed. But yeah, looking at the lap times, the best lap times, the top 3 very closely matched. So if McClellan can get that off the line tomorrow, he will be in contention for the race victory. And yeah, Danny Timewell it was with the fastest lap of the race. So yeah, all to play for in the top 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, just having a look at those top 3 times, you're right. So it was an 18.4 for Timewell, an 18.6 for Luke Gretschkambo, and an 18.8 for Ian McLennan. So not too far apart there in terms of the fastest lap time, but about the consistency and about the start, it was all Timewell and Luke Gretschkambo. They were the 2 that jumped away nicely, apart from Danny, who just misjudged the start by just a few seconds.
We're in improved production land, and I'm joined alongside by Macca, as he likes to be called, and you can see behind us his beautiful Pro Cut Tree Services Holden Monaro, which you'll have seen on quite a few social posts, not only on the VSRS page, but also Blendline TV. But Macca, welcome.
Thanks very much.
Could you tell us about your Monaro and how it came to be the race car that it is today?
Yeah, so I purchased it back in 2013. Bought it from up in Byron Bay, actually. It was a ride-off from the Toowoomba floods. It was pretty rough back then. It still had a bit of mud in it and all that, so we stripped it out. It was probably about a 5-year build. Sort of didn't really get going until about 2017. I've had a bit of combination of works done from a few different shops, MPC, Ravage Raceworks, and a fair bit of help from me mate Luke Gretschkambo in his shed.
What drew you to the Victorian State Race Series in the first place? How did you first hear about it, and what sort of drew you in to become a competitor?
Well, probably through a few mates that were in the series. I sort of had seen a little bit on socials and watched a bit of YouTube footage, and yeah, probably rather than hooning on the streets, I thought, well, this is probably a good alternative. So I really like about the State Series and IPRA. It's the camaraderie, it's good clean racing, everyone's having a good time, and it's a whole lot of fun.
And just for viewers at home, could you just give a little bit of an insight of what this thing's like coming towards the end of a long main straight or back straight here at the Sandown International Raceway? What's that experience like?
Yeah, it's awesome. You obviously see it on TV. Look, these things, they're probably halfway between a road car and a supercar, hence being called improved production. They're pretty agricultural. It takes a little bit of wrestling, by the time you're at the end of the main straight, but they're a heap of fun. It's exhilarating, and as I say, the best fun you can have sitting down.
Absolutely. So a big thank you to Macca for joining us.
The green flag is about to be raised. Now we're looking at the lights on the left-hand side.
Smaller than usual, improved production field, but attention turns to the control tower for the competitors with the lights ready to be extinguished and time to go racing. McLennan was just creeping a little bit at the line there. I fear he may have jumped the start, but we'll let the officials upstairs adjudicate on that one. Very, very even start on the front row, though, between Timewell and Luke Gretsch-Cumbo. And it looks like Timewell's got the whole shot here. He's going to potentially lead into turn one if he can get the turn in done right. Macca's up the inside. It's 3 wide between the 3 Generals products. You could not get 3 different makes and models of car here. And you've also got Cade Lehman buying into it as well. So 4 Holden products, 4 different models, all somehow squeeze their way into turn one and come out the other side of 4 in a little bit of a different order to what they started in. Gretsch-Cumbo's held off the advances of Timewell just, and then McLennan into second.
That was awesome, wasn't it? The way they fired in there. I thought it was Timewell that was going to be leading, but he was a bit sooner on the brakes than the 2 on the inside. McLellan quick down the back straight, having a look at Gretsch-Cumbo. Brilliant onboard imagery. You can see the elevation change, his head down the hill into Dandenong Road corner. And as you picked up, yes, he has got a 5-second penalty. We saw it yesterday with Timewell. He jumped. It's not jumping the start. It's rolling. It's certainly rolling, moving when the lights go out, which is a big no-no. So that's 2 competitors in 2 days that have picked up a 5-second penalty. It didn't affect Timewell's race finish position yesterday, and McLellan will be hoping for the same today.
You've got Carl Parsons here making a move on Richard Valentich. He had 2 wheels in the grass coming out of Dandenong Road just to squeeze the Nissan past the Tirana, heading down towards the final chicane. He's got that move done. Danny Timewell yesterday called it perfectly when I was talking to him earlier this morning about the process that you go through to get the car off the line. You know, you're bringing the revs up, you're starting to bring the clutch up as well, then you've got the the button on the steering wheel to sort of ease the pressure off the line locker, and once you start to take the pressure off, you just can't put it back down again. So you've got no choice. You've essentially committed at that point in time, and you just got to try and minimise the impact and just hope to God that you don't jump out of the box at precisely the wrong time. That's what happened to him yesterday. Wouldn't be surprised to see if that's what's happened to McLennan as well. He wants to turn at the front of the field. He says, bugger this, I want to know that I've got a 5-second penalty and I've got to get out in front and minimise any sort of impact that this penalty is going to have on my race. Unfortunately for him right now, top 4 is pretty much condensed. He'd be at the back of the top 4.
Yes, absolutely. It'll push him quite far down the pack at this point in time. For the second lap, a bit of a lock-up there for Timewell.
Was that Timewell or was it Gretsch-Cumbo? It was a bit difficult to spot who locked up there.
But McLellan, with the time penalty, has to try and break away. It looked like he had a bit more of a straight line advantage. The toe, not as prominent as we see in other categories, because simply of the horsepower, and we see the horsepower coming to fruition as Timewell comes up the inside of race 1 winner Gretsch-Cumbo. So Timewell up to second. So our race 1 winner demoted down to third. Second at this point in time on the track, if you take into account McLellan's penalty.
Well, this battle pack that's going on right now, you've got Timewell and McLennan trying to check out in front, and then you've got the next 2 cars of Lehman and Luke Gretsch-Cumbo, who pretty much went to war just between themselves for most of the 2022 championship. They're renewing some hostilities at the moment. The track temperature probably up just a little bit from yesterday afternoon. I'm wondering whether that's starting to play a little bit of havoc, maybe with a setup direction change that Gretsch-Cumbo may have gone. You're listening in on something here. Do you think maybe something's not quite right?
I didn't think that sounded right over the hill. No.
It sounds a little bit deeper, doesn't it? The rumble doesn't sound like it's quite there. Maybe he's nursing some sort of little issue in the GC Electrical Senator. That'd be a shame.
See if we can hear it down the main straight from this camera when it goes past, but I think it could potentially be down a cylinder. Is there something wrong with that right front as well?
Yeah, maybe you're right there. It doesn't look all that great. It sounds a bit deeper. You could be right. Maybe it's a cylinder issue. Maybe it's something that's failed on the front of the car. I'm not quite so sure. Danny Timewell, he's got the bit between the teeth here. He had his first podium finish yesterday afternoon. He's now searching for the race win. Ian McLennan's had 2 podium finishes in improved production, never had a race win. And same for Cade Lehman. He's been right up the pointy end. He's been in the thick of the fight. He's never had a race win either.
Yeah, sounds like a tractor. Sounds like a tractor.
Yeah, it's not sounding healthy. Yeah, the more I listen to it, the more it's not sounding healthy. And he's just going to try and bring it home here. I think he'll know for sure whether or not he can manage it through to the flag. and just pick up as many points as he can. While the big boys are away, the likes of, they're both gone over the curve there a bit. The big boys like Jared Tonks and Adam Poole are away at the moment. The State Series Championship and the Club Championship are wide open affair right now. I'm led to believe that Adam Poole's actually had some recent hip surgery and is resting up at home, so we wish you a speedy recovery, Adam. And for the likes of Jared Tonks, he actually hurt the motor pretty bad from what I heard at the combined sedan support event for the Bathurst 12 Hour recently. So there's a fair bit of work to go on to get that car right and in the right position to come back and contest the Victorian State Race Series and improve production.
As you see a change for the lead. McClellan's locked up as well. He's run wide.
I think he was worried out of the position there. He was worried where Danny was and just sort of gave him a little bit too much room that he really didn't need to do.
I was going to say there's a few cars scheduled to be here this weekend that suffered damage at Bathurst, and you think, well, why did they go to Bathurst and sacrifice potentially a championship here? But it's that draw of Bathurst, isn't it? You can't say no to driving at Bathurst.
Yeah, you're spot on. There's not only just the lure of Bathurst as well. There's a number of drivers this weekend have been waiting on parts. That's the problem with a lot of the supply chain challenges that have been happening in the world recently. There's things like pistons coming from the United States, and especially for things like Wayne Twist BMW, things coming from Europe that he hasn't had a chance to get his hand on just yet, and that's what's causing a number of competitors to miss the event. So car 34, which is Brad Ross, has been shown a bad sportsmanship flag. Now, we touched on this yesterday, Dan McCarthy. Bad sportsmanship flag comes out if you've been abusing the track limits, which is mainly on the exit of turn 1, the exit of 4, the exit of, the approach to turn 9, which we saw the other two hop over the hill, and routinely on the exit of turn number 13. So if you go over a couple of times here and there, they're not going to worry so much, but if you're doing it lap after lap after lap, you'll get a bad sportsmanship flag, and if you continue to do it, you'll get the black flag.
Indeed. I think the big one here is that run over the rise and down into Dandenong Road. That's the big one, the change there made a couple of years ago for safety reasons, and cars like this old car.
Parsons goes for a tour through the gravel trap at turn 1. Looks like he's managed to keep it out of the wall, so just be a bit of bruised pride in this for him. And safely back on. Oh no, he's done some damage to the bumps and all the ruts and things on the runoff at turn number 1. That's made a right royal mess of the 55.
It's also made a right mess of the track. All the gravel deposited down at turn number 2. That'll be a big hazard potentially for the leaders when they come back around. We'll see if it's a drama for any of these under 2 litre cars further down the field, see if they struggle around turn number 2, because all the gravel is at the apex of this corner. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's all brown around there, but no, we've got through unscathed, which is good. So maybe not as much as a mess as I first thought. I remember the Super 2 race here late last year. I remember all the cars finishing up in the wall. I don't know if you
yes,
recall
I remember that one.
And that was because of some dirt and stuff put on the roads. It's such a narrow part of the racetrack, turns 2, 3 and 4. Almost street circuit feel, isn't it?
Absolutely. So a bit further down the order, so then Luke Gretsch-Cumbo started to fall back to the 5th place man in Peter Dixon, but just doing enough to keep the 21 Monaro at bay for the moment. Then Jin-Wook Song, who's in the black VE Commodore just behind Dixon. Found out this morning, that was actually his former road-going car that he's actually converted into a race car purely just by meeting people at track days that are part of the improved production fold and getting a feel for the category. He decided, you know what, I'll get a new car and I'll just convert this one over. Factory 6-litre Holden V8 with a factory box in it and a few go-faster bits on it, and he's gone racing and having a very successful debut weekend.
How good's that? And obviously, as well, it would probably mean more to you, the fact that you've done that yourself. It's your own car that you've converted into a race car. I think that'd be quite special to be driving that around this weekend, that's for sure.
It would be, but I guess on the opposite side of the equation, he's going to kill me for this, but the incident with David Cox at Phillip Island, which I'm led to believe the VK Commodore that he had run was potentially a previous family car as well, and now unfortunately it needs a lot of work done to get it right again. So it swings both ways, doesn't it? It's a bit of a tale to drive your own car that you've had for so many years in a race car format, but then when you do a big amount of damage to it, your heart really sinks and goes the opposite way, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're watching a battle a little further back down the field at the moment as the leaders are coming up to lap them. So these are the under 2 litre boys. Got a Subaru BRZ, and then behind that a Nissan Pulsar. Two very, very different vehicles, but in the same class. Timewell having to lock up.
Yeah, it's not been kind for him, a lap traffic, and he had this yesterday when he was chasing down Luke Gretschkumbo as well. The traffic just did not fall for him at the right spots. Luke came along, woke them up, and he copped them on the start-finish straight and places like that, but Danny copped them in the corners, so he's picking his way through the field. Oh, and that's an opportunistic look there from Agar in the Nissan Pulsar on the Wandon Engineering BRZ of Peter McLean. But now it's McLennan's turn to get through the lap traffic. That's given Timewell a bit of a free kick, despite getting balked over the top there. Timewell's pulled out a bit more of a margin here, and McLennan hasn't got the 5 seconds in his pocket just yet over Lehman to retain second by the end of this race. He's only got 0.7 of a second in his pocket as it stands right now.
The good news for him, though, is that Gretschkumbo, of course, with the issues he's having, it's one of the contenders that he is going to finish out of at this point in time anyway. 14 seconds, the margin back to him from where he is. So, yeah, as we stay on board with McClellan as he roars down the back straight, listen to this V8 motor.
We got a car facing the wrong way. Stuart Dearden is facing the wrong way on the exit of turn 4, and I'm not sure if that's damage on the front left corner, or if he's just got it turned all the way so he can turn around. No, he's got it turned so he can potentially, he was trying to save the car, I would say, and he's trying to get that refired and get going again. Let's see how that pans out. Traffic in the form of Wayne Decker for the front runners at the moment. Jin Wook Song, he's had he's lost a bit of ground to Peter Dixon after that lap traffic has come into play. Let's have a look and see if we can have a look at what's happened at turn 4 for Stuart Dearden. So he's being passed by the leaders. Lehman. That's a difficult one to call. It's very difficult to call. It was lap traffic situation. Blue flags were out. Lehman sort of had a little bit of a look. He wanted to stay with McLennan, but unfortunately a little bit of incidental contact there. Doesn't look like it was anything serious though, but probably will the boys will have a chat between themselves at the end of the race, I think, and sort out the situation. And yellow flags are on display here. Safety car boards, in fact, on display. So Stuart Dearden hasn't been able to get the green-eyed tribute Falcon refired. And a little bit of late checking up there, and good instructions from the officiating crew just to say, go wide, go wide.
Indeed it is, yeah. It's what you got to do, keep them aware of where the stationary car is. Bit of a shame there, because the battle was heating up actually for 4th position between Gretschkumbo and Dixon. Dixon had closed right up onto the tail of the wounded car of Gretschkumbo, so that's a bit of a breather, or a bit of a relief for Gretschkumbo, but the only thing is, if it goes green with 1 lap to go, 1 lap sprint to the finish, he might be a sitting duck, so there's potentially a big negative with the current positive to come.
That's right. Now, this is not what Ian McLennan wanted right now.
Not at all.
This has cruelled his race. So he has the 5-second penalty still hanging over his head, and he would have probably finished a comfortable 3rd had the safety car not come out. But the safety car is now going to pick up the leader here, which is Danny Timewell. The car just ahead of him is the 4.9 litre Tirana of Richard Valentich. So he'll be waved through, I would imagine. Yep, there they are. They're giving Richard the signal to go through, and then saying to Danny, you stay right where you are the leader. So this is going to close those margins right up. So potentially for McLennan, he's going to lose spots in the order to Cade Lehman, Luke Gretschkumbo, Peter Dixon, Jin Wook Song, and then depending on how quickly they can recover this car, potentially Carl Parsons, Rick Hogan will get positions as well. Richard Valentich has only just been let through by the safety car. That is where he was going to be the last car on the lead lap, essentially.
That really was a disaster for McClellan. So what we were saying earlier, Timewell, who had a 5-second penalty yesterday, finished second, but because it finished under green flags, he still finished second. Whereas when there's a safety car late in the race, it slaughters you, because look at how many cars are right on his tail now. So yes, he will certainly lose spots, because I don't see this race restarting with only a minute and a half to go.
Not only that, there's lap traffic in between a number of cars here as well. So they might be the saving grace a little bit of Ian McLennan. It might maybe only be a beneficiary of maybe an extra spot or two because of how the grid will be separated. If they come to the line and the time expires, then you might get one less spot lost or something like that, depending on how this all pans out. So we'll wait and see how quickly the officiating crew can pull in the number 100 machine of Stuart Dearden from turn number 4. Valentich roars past our position here in the commentary box, and he'll jump onto the back of the train. So cars that are lapped in the middle there, Steve McGorman in there, the BMW is sitting in between McLennan and Cade Lehman at the moment.
I've got a better way to differentiate it. The cars on the lead laps are Holden, the cars that aren't on the lead laps are not Holden.
Well, pretty close to it, I think, isn't it? Very close to it.
In that lead pack anyway, that's the way it is. Of course, actually, Ogle, I was just about to talk about the Focus.
He's in the pits.
Yeah, in the pits for quite some time, so not sure what happened with that car early on in the race. Disappointing day for him to start. Anyway, in the feature race, of course, slightly different format this weekend. So, of course, we've seen the timed races rather than laps, but then also having the feature on the Sunday morning and a slightly shorter race with less points to finish. Normally, it's the big feature race points to finish the weekend.
Well, we've gone 0 here on the timing screen, and I'm waiting to see if the checkered flag's going to be displayed. So the checkered flag is waving, so it's a first up win in improved production for Danny Timewell in the Timewell Spent number 11 VF Commodore, with thanks to Prestige Hino, Melbourne's most awarded Hino dealer. Congratulations, Danny.
Just trying to see where McClellan will finish. Of course, P2 there. But actually, because of all of those lapped cars, only loses one position.
He's so lucky.
He actually holds third by 1/10 of a second from Luke Getchcumbo. I reckon if Getchcumbo knew that, he'd have gone right up on the rear bumper of the back marking traffic. But nevertheless, McClellan given a real,
free kick.
Yeah, basically, yeah, free kick. A penalty almost right in front of goal. So, yeah, very, very lucky there. So only loses one position. So Timewell, Lehman, McClellan, the Ailing, Getchcumbo, Dixon and Song, the top 6.
And I reckon a lot of that will be due to the safety car speed coming across the line, plus all the lap traffic that was in between as well, has played a hand in that. So Ian McLennan, I think, can consider himself a very lucky boy that that finished the way that it did under the safety car. But take nothing away from Danny Timewell. They've been chasing podiums. The opportunity was there for a race win, and he's taken it with both hands, and he'll be absolutely stoked. Can Danny Timewell walk it off the line nicely? Cade Lehman looks like he actually gets the better launch there. I think he just managed to beat Danny Timewell to the clutch pedal and the gas pedal combination and launch it beautifully, but now here comes the horsepower race. Danny's got a little bit more in a straight line, and Luke Getchcumbo's going to make this potential three-way fight into turn 1. You saw this in the last race, and there was a little bit of curb involved with McLennan, went up and over the curb and just avoided making some contact. But that was very, very, I guess, adult of them all to let Luke Getchcumbo just go through.
Yeah, very interesting, but this is also interesting for the round points. Timewell on 94 points coming into this one. Oh, sorry, that's if it stays the way it is at the moment. So what the points I'm trying to make is Lehman and Getchcumbo are very, very close on points coming into this one. It's basically whoever finishes higher in this one will take the second in the round overall, as we see Timewell trying to make his way back through, but Lehman says, no you don't, I'm going to swing around here and hold on to position. Brave stuff, nice respect shown between the two.
Yeah, very good respect shown there from the Bedigo door centre 26 and the Timewell Spent number 11 going down through the S's heading towards Dandenong Road. And Danny, I think, has just got a little bit more mumbo in a straight line. Cage just a little bit better through some of these corners. So this will be about to drive off the last corner here. Now, you've seen a number of the drivers sort of using more of the ribbon strip on the outside of turn 13 to try and maximise their front speed straightaway, but they're all being very gentlemanly-like at that particular corner this time around. And here comes the horsepower advantage. But unfortunately, with horsepower advantage means you got to brake a little bit earlier. And in this case, Danny's not only had to put the brakes a bit earlier, but he's managed to get the high ground, get himself just in the right position to wrestle away P2. He can set his sights on the back of the GC Electrical Senator as he pounds the turn 2 and 3 curbs at the chicane.
And roars onto the back straight. In fact, now looks like Lehman might be coming under pressure from McClellan behind after no penalty for no rolling start. Of course, 2 people have been done for that this weekend. Timewell in race number 1 and McClellan in race number 2 rolling at the time the lights went out, and both received 5-second penalties. So good to see that nobody's got that in this final race, and it's a clean pair of heels. No penalties in the front view.
No penalties at the front view. Rick Hogan heading into turn 6 along with Richard Valentich and Grant Ogle, who was a notable non-finisher in race number 2 in the Ford Focus. Couldn't get 2 more distinct cars. You know, look at that 70s Tirana and the early 2000s or mid-2000s Ford Focus XR5, different strengths and weaknesses. And Richard likes to call the fact that this is the only genuine Holden power plant in the field at the moment, because of course it was a car produced in this country. He said, in the paddock, he said, none of this LS3 rubbish or anything like this. We've got a proper, you know, Aussie-built V8 under the bonnet of the Tirana.
And you can hear it roaring past the grandstand. Let's listen to it here. Awesome. How
Lovely sound. Lovely sound.
As they break into turn 1, the Focus a lot better under brakes. You can see Ogle having a look to the inside. He's got a bit more time to think about it. It's a lot easier for him under brakes than the big, heavy Tirana in front of him. And yeah, in the corners as well. It's just in the acceleration and down the long straights where that Tirana pulls ahead with the big V8.
Yeah, the Ford Focus has got a good bit of acceleration off the corners, but just loses a little bit in the top end. And the hard part with the Ford Focus as well, as you see Luke Gretsch-Cumbo locking up into turn number 9. The hard part with the Focus is, I remember talking to Grant Ogle about the weight distribution of the car, and he said it's not so much where all the weight is, it's up high. It's actually in the roll structure in the roof, like physically how it comes from the factory. So you can't distribute that weight, so it has a bit of trouble cornering sometimes because it's a bit top heavy. So you have to counter that by playing with your suspension settings a bit more, and then obviously that comes at the detriment of, you know, overall grip and performance. So it's got its deficiencies, but of course it is a balls amount of fun car to drive, he says. So he really enjoys bringing it out when he gets a chance. And the battle at the front now is intensifying, as you've called it a few times today. There's been some situations in a number of races this weekend where it starts out all tame and then it starts to get a little bit more intense and a little bit more intense, and then culminates either in a fantastic scrap toward the end or it ends in tears. In this case, thankfully it hasn't ended in tears for improved production this weekend, but there's been some fantastic scraps all the way up and down the field. And here's another one of them. This was taking place in race number 2 earlier between Peter McLean in the BRZ and then Nathan Agar in the Pulsar. And look at they're behind, the same car they were behind earlier in the day. It's Stewie Dearden's number 100 Ford Falcon.
Of course, that car did, though, have a spin late on in the race, didn't it? And unable to recover. So hopefully that car can finish in this one. Yeah, only no points, sorry, to this point. No points to this point in time, so he's looking to get his first points on the board for this weekend. And we see Ogle having a look up the inside of Valentich, up the top of the hill. Not quite seen that in the camera, how that finished.
No, it didn't finish. It stayed the way that it was, but he had a much better run off of turn 4, it appears there. Timewell's had a much better run off the final corner here on Gretsch-Cumbo and is firmly down the inside at turn 1. Job done. Now, for Luke Gretsch-Cumbo, it's going to be a matter of, will the Senator hold together for the remainder of the race? We actually thought that there might have been a bit of a misfire with that car in the second race, and that was your call, Dan McCarthy. You were actually proven correct. It actually had dropped a cylinder. It was running on 7 of the 8 cylinders in its shape of V underneath the bonnet, and they managed to ID the problem pretty quickly when he got back to the pits, and hopefully it will hold up for the remainder of this race. Luckily, he was able to hold on to 4th on the road, which has become 3rd in the starting order based on when the penalty was applied post-race for Ian McLennan's start line infraction in race number 2.
So yeah, we see new leader at Timewell out in front. Lehman's coming into contention as well. He set his fastest lap on the last lap, and it was actually faster than Gretsch Combo. So although Gretsch Combo made a lightning start and looked good in the first couple of laps, the other cars are faster than the Senator at this point in time. As we see as well, McClellan with his fastest lap on that lap. He was 8/10 faster than Gretsch Combo, 6/10 faster than Lehman, and he's going up the inside of Lehman now to take third position, and does so using a lot of curb on the inside and a bit of curb on the outside. Had to use all of the road to make that move work, but he did. Has to go defensive into turn number 2, but that move is now made, and he'll be looking ahead, seeing if he can catch Gretsch Combo, our race number 1 winner.
He's had a little bit of smoke just leaving the rear end of the car there at turn number 4. I just noticed as he applied the loud pedal to make it accelerate up the back straight. But he took a lot of curb on the inside at turn 1, which can be quite dangerous if you hit that curb at precisely the wrong angle. We've seen a rollover or two happen in the past in some categories, but these big heavy cars, you really have to absolutely slaughter it to really make it get up on 2 wheels and roll over. He's managed to hold position there, and there's been a change of position here. Ogle has managed to wrestle away what is position number 9 from Richard Valentich at turn number 1.
Very good stuff. So yeah, Focus makes up a move.
Late threat there. It was Agar nearly up the inside of the Wandon Engineering BRZ of Peter McLean at turn number 1. Door very firmly slammed shut.
Been a ding-dong battle between these two all weekend long.
This has been great. This has been a great battle. Good illustration of two 2-litre category cars. Different strengths and weaknesses. The BRZ sharing the same platform as a Toyota GT86, and then the Pulsars, which you most commonly see in New South Wales. I mean, there's God knows how many of them in that category, and it's got just as much poke and mumbo under the bonnet to hang with the BRZ.
Agar had a bit of a look there at the top of the hill, but to no avail, and lost a little bit of run down the hill as a result. So that's one of the things, particularly in a class like this, you can really see if you make a sort of half move, because of the power, you just lose so much drive out the corner and onto the next straight. And there again, seeing a bit of a half move, and that will affect his run through the chicane and onto the back straight as a result. So yeah, and you see that in supercars a lot. If you make a half move, you ruin the next few corners. The flow's all gone. Yeah, we've seen that in a number of categories as well. If you come off the slow corners and you get the exit all wrong, or you go in a bit too hot, you understeer through the corner, you end up in a bad situation. There's been a change of positions here as well. Is the GC Electrical Senator starting to ail again? McLennan has gone through to position number 2 in the Pro Cut Tree Services Monaro, and we didn't get a chance to hear the engine note of the Senator going past, so either Gretsch Combo's made a mistake or it's got some more trouble. I think you're listening again, it sounds off, doesn't it? Yeah, I think that's down to 7 cylinders once again. What a shame. Started so well the weekend for a 3-time Victorian Improved Production champion, but yeah, not ended the way he would have wanted at least. Fingers crossed if he can finish anyway, he will get some good solid points in the bag in round number 1 and move on to Winton.
That's the important piece of the puzzle here. Now the race leader's going to come across this ding-dong battle for what is currently 13th and 14th down the hill here. He's had some bad luck with the lap traffic all weekend long, Danny Timewell. Always seems to come across it at the wrong moment. This one looks like it might not be too bad for him. Up the little short chute between turn 9 through the kink at turn 10. And then on to turn 11 and 12. Oh, an opportunistic pass there, was there, from Nathan Agar in the back, a shot on Peter McLean. There was. Wow. So took the race leader to wake up Peter McLean, create the little hole, and Agar says, thank you very much.
You often see, don't you, that there's lead changes when people come up to back markers. It's not too often you see it the other way around, that the back markers take advantage and make position when the leaders are coming by. So that was really good racecraft. Good use of the racing brain, and yet caught the 101 BRZ napping slightly there, but he's going to be caught on the outside here by McClellan, and that'll probably reopen the door for the BRZ, who looks around the outside at turn number 2. Not quite, But that was an awkward little moment for the Pulsar on the outside of the track.
That was extremely awkward with the race leaders going through, and this is where Lehman caught Stuart Dearden late in race number 2 and caused a safety car, but no such trouble this time around. He's also managed to find his way past Luke Gretsch-Gumbo. This man is setting his sights now on the braking zone for turn 9, and it'll be a short distance from there to the start-finish line, although he was very, very close to being out of control there coming down the hill into turn 9. He's had Jared McLeod working with him throughout the last couple of weeks and helping them fine-tune this car just to find a little bit more lap time, and it's paid dividends this weekend. First ever podium, tick. First race win in improved production, tick. First round win in improved production, tick. Danny Timewell home in P1 for the second time here on Sunday afternoon.
McClellan punch in the air. He's really happy with second position.
Oh, so he should be. That's a fantastic drive from Macca, who's been on the podium pretty much all 3 races apart from the one little incident earlier this morning.
I'm just looking at the round results. So Timewell takes it on 98 points, and then a
tie for second.
Yes, between Lehman and Gretsch-Gumbo.
Here comes Carl Parsons. So, what's he picked up there? Actually, that'd be the tow rope, wouldn't it, sitting on the front of the car, because that's the only spot they could probably mount that. So he's going to come home in 7th place with Grant Ogle 8th. He's actually picked up a spot there, Grant Ogle, on Rick Hogan by the looks of things. So I don't know what's happening there. Oh, there might be some further dramas for Gretsch-Gumbo here. Is he just maybe made a little boo-boo trying to get into the lane? He might need a push, I think, here.